Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another .NET MAUI Community Toolkit monthly stand-up. We've pushed out new releases, and we'll talk all about that today. But first, Cliff, it's good to see you again. How have you
Yeah,
been?
I'm back. I'm good. I'm good. Just been very, very busy. Yeah, trying to mix all the jobs together. But yeah, I've been very busy last few months, especially over the summer. But yeah, good to be back. So come and join you. Try and catch up with
Yeah.
what I've missed.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to fly the planes all around the world, Cliff, and so
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
happy you're the one doing it.
yeah. Everyone wants to go on holiday, and I was at the front. So yeah,
That's also nice. Vlad, how you doing?
you're on mute.
Ooh, we can't hear you, Vlad. You did unmute yourself, but maybe something else is going on with your audio inputs. Oh, yeah, I can see your lips moving.
Can you
So,
hear me
oh,
now?
Yep, that's it.
yes, there he is.
Great. Yeah, I told that .NET 10 is coming, winter is coming, so a lot of things coming. So
Yeah,
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, same. Actually, been speaking of .NET 10. I think I have that on the agenda somewhere. Yeah, down here. We'll talk about it in the PR
yeah.
section. Yeah, we've been doing a ton of work on .NET 10, and we're basically ready. I'll dig more into that when we get down to that section. But to start off, yeah, we finally put out some new releases. It's been a while. I think our last release was about 3 months ago because a lot of us also took the summer off, took some vacations. But we've got some new goodies for you, and I wanted to share these on the stream today because there is currently a bug in the Microsoft docs. So we've already written the new docs, we've merged them into the main branch, and what's supposed to happen is as soon as we merge the docs into main, there should be an automated script that runs and pushes them to the live website so everybody can see them. But they're not there yet. But there's some new goodies in here that I wanted to show off that should provide a fairly substantial quality of life improvement. The first one, Sean came up with this great idea to add in an extension method so that when you're working with pop-up v2, which to back up a little bit, pop-up v2 now pushes pop-up inside of a content page. So what that means is the page that you're pushing the pop-up from will trigger the on navigated from, the on disappearing, all those content page methods that we can override will trigger because we're essentially just using now the native .NET MAUI navigation stack to show the pop-up in a content page as if you were pushing any modal page to the screen. So Sean had a really cool idea that said, what if we have an extension method that can detect if the previous page was a pop-up page. So in other words, this on navigated to has a navigated to event args. And this is really simple. It's just an extension method to navigated to event args. But now you can say if args dot was previous page a community toolkit pop-up page, then you can handle it. So it's one of those things like how do you only call on appearing once, or how do you only call on navigated to once? And you can add, we have documentation that already exists about like adding in a bool that says like is initialized, and you can kind of keep track of that. But hopefully this helped folks. What do you think, Cliff? What do you think, Vlad?
I quite like it. It's simple. It's elegant. Yeah, it's like, yeah, why have we not done it before? It's a long name. Was previous page a community talk? Yeah, but yeah, once you start typing it, I think IntelliSense and whatever AI you're using these days is going to kick in and do it for you, isn't it? So, but yeah, I quite like it. I can see I could
Yeah.
use it already.
Get some feedback about the API name. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
it's not the best, but we could say like was pop up, but does that make sense? So figure be verbose as possible. Code should tell a story, And yeah, it's not like you have to type it out, like like you're saying, Cliff. IntelliSense will do that
Makes
for you.
sense. Yeah, it'll do it for you. But yeah, and it's self-documenting then, isn't it? As you say, it tells you exactly what's going on. So I've got to write less docs then, which is easier. So
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, I can also add, I saw recently a similar implementation, but it was a plugin MAUI bottom sheet plugin for a bottom sheet. And in that plugin, they used iNavigation aware interface where it has on navigation from on navigation to method with custom parameter bottom sheet navigation param args. It was like the same alternative, the way to override the method. It was so how it can be used with view models implementation. So it's also
Huh.
can be like some alternative for MVVMs, people who don't want to manually override or navigate it to method in in on pages. So it can be technically extended maybe in future if somebody wants to create an issue, and we will discuss it on next stand-ups.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I had never seen that, never heard of that. So that'd be really cool. Thanks, Vibe. All right, and then I'd say the other big thing we squeezed into this release, specific for Community Toolkit.maui. There's more features in Community Toolkit.maui.camera and media element, but big one here was we. You may have never noticed until maybe you tried to check out the new .NET 10 preview and use the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit with it. But we had been restricting our package, our NuGet package, from using anything above the current release .NET MAUI stable version. So, long story short, last year, actually every year, we've owned the toolkit. Every time the pre-release version comes out, it doesn't work with the toolkit, and we get a slew of bugs opened up, slew of issues are opened up, people letting us know. And for us, essentially, it's just going through each and saying, yes, you're right. We don't support the preview packages. This is closed. It'll be fixed when the next version of .NET GAs, the next version of .NET MAUI GAs. So the workaround for that to kind of save our sanity and save some time from responding to these issues was to put in upper bounds on our .NET MAUI NuGet package. So I guess probably a better way to look at this would be MAUI Toolkit on NuGet. And does it show? Okay, not this one, because that's the new one. There we go. So if we go back to the previous version, 12.2.0, you can see that upper bound. So you weren't able to use Microsoft MAUI controls version 10 dot whatever. So in the latest version, we've removed that. There's no more upper bounds. So you can start playing around with the toolkit in .NET 10 with the heavy caveat that it's still not technically supported. But the reason this came about was, I'm blanking on who. Matt Leibowitz from the .NET MAUI team reached out to us, and they are using the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit in the templates that, whenever you create a new .NET MAUI app in Visual Studio, there's a .NET MAUI template that uses the toolkit. And he's like, hey, I don't know what to do because we have our templates for .NET 10, and we obviously want to use the toolkit in .NET 10, but it's breaking everything. So snuck this change in that obviously would have come in our .NET 10 PR, but now there's no more upper bounds. And if you want to really dig into this and know the reason why we don't need this upper bounds anymore, previously, with every version of .NET MAUI ending with the current version, .NET 9, no longer this will happen in .NET 10, we've had access to the internals of .NET MAUI. So the toolkit could access anything that was marked internal in .NET MAUI. And that ended up being the reason why you may have experienced like missing method exceptions or method not found or weird bugs like that I feel like we've been battling for years now. It seems like every time we push out a new release, somebody opens up an issue and says, there's this missing method exception. And once we walk them through updating .NET MAUI and Microsoft .MAUI controls and the MAUI workloads on the computer, everything goes away. So the easy way to fix that was we no longer have access to internals starting with .NET 10. And so we don't need the upper bounds anymore. We shouldn't get any more of those missing method exceptions where maybe we were referencing an internal property, internal method that had changed under the hood, but it wasn't a breaking change requiring an API change. So long story short, you can try out .NET MAUI Community Toolkit with .NET 10 now. Okay, the MAUI media element has tons and tons of bug fixes that I wanted to highlight. So if you're trying to use media element in Windows using multiple windows, that's been fixed. There was a problem on Android where we didn't stub out all of the required Android methods. So maybe you were experiencing a crash on Android. That's fixed now. Flyout pages on iOS and Mac Catalyst. Just tons and tons of work by James. Hopefully, hopefully James will pop in. We were chatting earlier today in Discord. Hopefully the time change hasn't caused him to miss the stand-up. But James did a ton of work, ton of bug fixes out there for Media Element. But finally, the big new feature, and I'm so glad he's here. Vlad has added camera video recording. Tell us all about it.
It's here, but sorry, I broke those who use camera for only photos because now it requires microphone permission. I already added it to our agenda probably today, and yeah, I hope we will fix it before the .NET 10 release. So if you're still on .NET 9, you can probably use camera view as it worked before for those who only need photos.
Yeah, that was something that I saw that in this PR. So if you look at our sample app, for example, and again, the docs have been written and merged and updated. We just we need to fix that bug in so that they'll show up for everybody on the website. But let's see. Oh gosh, I
It's
take this
probably
back down a little
camera
bit.
share it. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Which one? Provider, manager, manager shared.
Oh, probably here.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw this. And that if we don't have access to microphone, we're returning false. So
Yeah, and here I have a question. Here we use methods that called are permissions granted, and if we, for example, people who will try to use it for video recording, and we remove microphone permissions from this method, probably it will be broken for them. So is it okay if we have a tiny break-in change with the method naming, probably split it on two different methods for camera for photo permissions granted, a camera for video permissions granted. So something like that. Or we probably can remove permission verification at all. It will be up to user what permissions they need.
yeah, that's
I
kind of
think
what I was
that
thinking.
one.
Just
I think
just
that
let it
one.
crash because even if you think of any other library, like let's say you're just building an iOS app, so no C#, no
Mhm.
.NET. If you try to access the camera or the microphone, your app's going to crash, and that stack trace, that even though
Mhm.
you wrote it in Objective C or Swift, is going to tell you the app crashed because you don't have permission. So yeah, maybe we're just trying to help too much. And
I wouldn't expect a library to be doing permissions for me. I'd expect to have to do it myself. So I'm with you, Vlad. I think remove the permissions from the library and just put in the docs. Don't forget, you need to get these permissions if you want to take a picture. You need video. You need this one as well, and do it that way. I've used other camera libraries, and you have to do permissions yourself. So I think do it that way. Just about a little loud when someone's coming to my door and the dogs are barking. I'll be back shortly.
Sounds good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
or maybe the case when the user want to have its own UI for granting permissions or something like that, or in specific moment of time when they ask for permissions, so it do not ask user once again just before accessing the camera.
yeah, I agree.
The other advantage
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Sorry, I missed what we said there. Go on.
Cliff disagrees. No, just
No, I was coming back in to say why I walked away. The other thing I thought of was the fact that the advantage of leaving the developer to pick which permissions they're going to expressly ask for is then they're aware of what permissions are being asked for by the app. So it's not like they're suddenly surprised when it goes to the App Store and it says, "Why are you asking for these permissions?" They know, well, I've asked that because I'm using this library and I need it for that. So it makes the developer more kind of aware of what they're requesting, what permissions they need inside their app, as opposed to us silently slipping them in there in the back door.
yeah, I agree. And so one thing I was thinking is we could, because our next release is likely going to be our .NET 10 release, because .NET Conf is next week, which means .NET 10 GA is next week. So yeah, maybe we go through the .NET 10 PR, and I'm kind of thinking anywhere where we ask for permissions, because I know Media Element asks for permissions, and again, it's all documented. So why don't we just pull those out? And I agree with Aiden here. He was saying that it also allows devs to customize the UX, like something I've been actually battling myself. One of my apps with Media Element asks for, I think it's push notification permissions as soon as you use it, and that's so it can update like what's like the now playing screen essentially. And I kind of wish it didn't, because I have a separate screen in my app that explains push notifications to my users, and then only once they click yes on that will the system prompt from say iOS or Android pop up saying confirm. So yeah, how about we go through and remove all of our any permissions requests from the toolkit, and just we'll note that in as a breaking change in our release notes for .NET 10.
Yeah, I agree. We can simply remove this method, and even for those who use camera for video recording, it will be not technically a change for those who use .NET 9, because they can use this method because they needed two permissions for microphone and camera. For those who use photo, there are no changes in the library. They can continue using the previous version, and that's it. So I think for .NET 10, we can just remove this method and it will work.
All
Of course,
right, sounds good.
document. Yeah.
But again, the big news is you can now do a video recording from camera view.
Yeah. And the great news that you can record it in two ways. Use directly to your own video stream or your own stream, any stream, and it can be video of any length. You can use file stream, you can use network stream, or another way, you can simply use a memory stream and record it into memory, but use it for short videos. It depends on the memory of your device. Yeah, because otherwise you may have an out of memory exception.
Yeah, and just to show, so here's our docs where we added in camera and microphones. but want to show the usage. Let's see if you scroll all the way down. There we go. So yeah, like Vlad was saying, you can see this is the simple example down here. So if you can just say this is the camera view. So camera.start video recording. That'll kick off the recording. And then whenever you say stop, we'll return the stream where the video was recorded to back to you. And you can see here, you can use File Saver to record it in the file system. Or, like Vlad was saying, maybe you want to use a specific file stream. So you spin up a file stream, and then you can pass that file stream into start video recording. So if you are looking to do something a little bit more complex, you can do that. And we'll record that to your file stream. Or if you just want to say start and stop, we'll return that stream. We'll create the stream for you and return it back to you. I think we just use a memory stream out of the hood, so nothing too fancy, but try it out.
We're waiting for your applications that use live streaming. So maybe next month we will stream over our camera view.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, replace camera view with a custom StreamYard app for .NET MAUI.
Exactly. With .NET 10 release.
All right. So, actually, I think that first issue, Vlad, next
it's
up on the
exactly
agenda.
what we currently discussed. So probably, we can just remove this method, and that's it.
Sounds good.
You can assign it on me, please.
Oops, that's me. Appreciate it. So again, we'll be ripping out anywhere where we ask for permissions, and we'll just allow the camera to assume that you've already granted the permissions. And if you haven't, bad things will happen and the app will crash. But it seems like the best way to go for everybody. So, all right, .NET 10 support. It's coming. We've been working hard on this the last couple of weeks, even late last night. I think James was working on fixing some changes in our sample app. But this is basically ready. There's a couple of weird things you'll see. Our builds are failing. One is a Tizen bug that Jay Cho is still helping us out. You may remember him. He joined the Standup when we first added Tizen a couple years ago. So we've got a Tizen bug in the sample app that's calling the sample apps to fail. And then we're waiting on one update from Microsoft for analyzers that's causing our analyzer unit tests to fail. But if you look into the actual build chain, you can see it's our analyzer unit tests that are failing, not, Community Toolkit.MAUI's passing, MAUI core, all this stuff's building. If we were to run the Community Toolkit unit test before the analyzer test, you'd see everything's passing. So it looks a little red, it looks a little scary, but everything's good to go. But yeah, there was a couple things, and James, glad you're here. Wanted to kind of share with the world, because we went through it for .NET 10, which means you're going to probably go through it for .NET 10. And James, the first thing I was thinking of was the XAML source-generated XAML. is that the title for it?
That's been really exciting to add to the sample app. I've actually run into a few issues that I've been talking to the Microsoft team about, and they in fact intend that if you look at that last one there, that's right in front of us, the one with the flyout background color and the app theme binding, that one's actually been verified this morning, and I think they intend to fix that before we go live, because I was testing it and I was mentioned it in the Mauiverse Discord, and they're like, oh yeah, that should work. And what had happened is, if you take the app theme binding and you put it inside of what do you call it? It's listed right there, I think. Yeah, so if you look at the changes there, we have it wrapped inside of on platform. Right now, if you run that on Android, iOS, Mac, Windows, or Tizen, that's going to crash. So I just reversed it and put on platform inside of app theme binding, nested, and it works. So yeah, it should work the other way too, but it doesn't. So I just fixed it for now. And that's just an example of some of the small issues that happen, and something that the Microsoft team themselves, I believe, are intending to fix.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
I was not
Great
quick
catch.
enough to file a bug report, so Microsoft did it on my behalf. One of the team members literally went out and replicated it, verified it, and put it on the agenda. So yeah.
Nice. And yeah, James, here's your commit adding the XAML source generation.
Yeah.
And it looks like you just, for everybody out there, you want to add MAUI XAML inflator source gen to your CS proj.
Yeah.
And then there's
Just
a couple changes. Yeah.
yeah, they just mostly it's just null related issues that you'll find. And one of the things that I noticed was for me was I got a bunch of errors that didn't make any sense to me that Brandon was able to fix almost immediately. So be aware that when this you do get bugs, it's not going to be like in your libraries most likely. It's going to be exactly in your XAML, and you're going to have to adjust it to like you did originally for when we added the XAML C functionality. Like what was it last year in .NET 9 that we added? We
Which
added
one?
something. It was not source gen, but it
Oh,
was.
yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's like compiled XAML.
It
There's
comes
a
on
there's an
XAML,
update to
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
So it might be MAUI strict XAML compilation. That's what we
yeah.
added.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah, so the big thing with these, and I wonder if I could show this. If I could show this live. Let's see. If I bring up.
it really speeds up the debug builds, so they're comparable in speed and performance for the release builds.
Yeah, so what you'll also probably want to do is, or what's happening under the hood. So what are we even talking about here? We're talking about source generated files from that .NET MAUI is going to generate C# files for us from the XAML that we've written. So essentially, this is taking away the worst parts about XAML, that it was interpreted at runtime, which meant that it was using an interpreter, which is a little bit slower than if you had designed your UI using C# instead of XAML. But what you want to do, and this is what James and I were chatting about, is in your CS proj, if you say emit compiler generated files true, and then you can also specify the output path if you want. But now, when I build this is specifically our sample app inside of the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit here. And let me zoom in a little bit so everybody can read this text better. So emit compiler generated files, true. And now, let's see, open in Finder. So now when this is built, we dig into.
Leave me the object files. There you go.
Is it still compiling? Oh, it didn't. It didn't compile. let's get it to compile. But basically, as you're debugging this stuff, the source generated files, there we go, by default are not emitted as a file. They're just kind of hanging out in some temp directory or in memory. But what we want is is to show this off on the live stream. I mean, it looks like it's still building. But yeah, like James was saying, like you're going to see a bunch of warnings or maybe compiler errors. And so as long as you say emit compiler generated files true, then you can actually find that file. And so for things like still compiling, that is one thing. The compilation takes a little longer. So you'll see your code get compiled, and then once your code's compiled, the XAML gets compiled, and then it's all kind of compiled again, or XAML gets generated, then compiled again, I should say. So there we go. Look at all this. Look at all this generated XAML. So, for example, here is our pages, alert, snack bar snackbar page, XAML, and you kind of see side by side what's going on here is that we have, for example, like, let's see, bindings are probably the best one. Let's see, binding. So for text color, we have a button with a binding. And am I going to be able to find this in real time?
It'll be in the other file.
Good catch. There you go. So there's all this generated code that is now creating that binding in C#, but also in compilable C#. Because again, all this stuff, all the XAML was already, it gets converted to C#, but it was all happening at runtime, which slowed down our app performance just a little bit. So now everything's compiled ahead of time. And yeah, it'll uncover some things in your app that you should have been doing before, but maybe you weren't. And that's okay, because everything still kind of worked. But like you can see in our code here, like, yeah, we should have been using a nullable object, and event arc should have been nullable. Like that's what we should have been doing, but it still worked. But now, not only will your code get better, but your app will also get faster. So I'd recommend it. Anything that makes your app launch faster is going to be good for for your users. So
Anything that
check it
fixes
out.
bugs too.
Yep, and fixes bugs that you might not know existed. So
I guess also you can now effectively step through your XAML, can't you? To see where
Oh.
it's
Yes.
from your XAML.
Yeah.
You can debug
you can put a
your
breakpoint.
XAML.
What?
Breakpoint.
Yeah.
So that means you can now see why is that binding failing.
Why does it
That's what it's going to be.
crash?
A binding failure. Let's be honest.
And the
Yeah,
main
it's so-
question was
Imagine being able to test crash at startup, like being able to step through the app XAML and the app shell XAML and find out exactly why it's crashing.
Oh.
How do you think I figured out the other thing there? Like that's how I figured out it was the network, because I double clicked on the file and it was just like,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. We got our app XAML source
Can you now
generated code.
Can you also now test it and make it testable?
Whoa. Unit test XAML?
Unit test XAML, because you're going to unit test against the C#, which we can
Probably.
do. That's clever.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. My mind is blown.
main
That's-
question to Gerald,
Yeah.
sorry, to Brandon, what will happen with markup library?
Oh, nothing. It's still going to be great. It's still going to be supported. XAML still sucks. Like, why do we have to write XName, and why do we have to do XML and SVM CLR namespace? Like things like these are the big
Can
reason
be added to
why
global
I hate XAML.
namespaces?
But no, I wish XAML would have died years ago. But here we are. People still use it. People claim that they
Probably.
like it.
Probably everybody on this stream uses it.
I use it when
Let's
I'm forced
say-
to use it.
Uh,
All right. Cool. So, oh yeah, we were talking about .NET 10 support. So yeah, that's all coming. Stay tuned. Like I said, as soon as the .NET team releases .NET 10 or GA's .NET 10, and as soon as the MAUI NuGet packages are available, and basically once our build pipeline can run without using anything preview, we'll merge this pull request. So hopefully that'll be Tuesday when .NET Conf starts. But stay tuned. Know that we have this queued up for you.
And there is, of course, we can start switching to the dailies for testing against .NET 10 support to the CI liner if we want to, just for now. At least at home.
Yeah, totally. Like we create a NuGet package for every build. So we've got instructions in our wiki on if anybody wants to download those NuGet packages and try them out ahead of time.
Yeah. But I'm also saying is we can test out the .NET 10 against the CI line for .NET MAUI, because you've always been able to, but you can test against nightlies, and they've also set up so you can test it against .NET 10 dailies.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
so like, you can literally push it against .NET controls on that. They're pushing like daily updates to it. So
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Where were we in the agenda? Okay, Vlad. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited to
this
talk about this because I noticed
yeah,
I
this
had
is
already
a
approved
long
this and sent it to
discussion.
Burge.
Yeah, actually, I also want to merge this pull request, but I don't know the correct behavior of this converter. From one thing, I agree that it should be invariant culture, so it can be parsed independently what culture it's used. But on the other hand, I'm still thinking that when we work with numbers, they should be culture specific. So, for example, in Ukraine, when you use commas, in US, you can use dots as a separator for numbers. So that is, I see how people can use it. For example, if they want to create a calculator application and want to provide some and formula just to make some calculations, and they write it how it will be parsed. It should be parsed based on the user input. Or maybe I'm incorrectly understand how this converter should work.
I think that makes sense. Because so tell us, for everybody who hasn't looked at this PR, what's this PR do, Vlad?
It's actually just for mass expression converter. You can see it's just say that it should use invariant culture instead of current culture that we pass in our converters. Yeah, you can
Gotcha.
open the changes. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
pretty simple change here. It's probably, yeah, it's
Yeah.
text.
So you added a bunch of static methods. Yeah. Okay. So culture invariant. Yep.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? What do you recommend? What should we do next?
I want to ask you the same question. Yeah. And from one thing, I understand that it should be invariant culture because how many people just use it for and create their own calculators or something like that. Maybe not a lot, but those who can use converter for their internal calculations, maybe it's
Is this
not.
a breaking change? And if it is, what are the negative and positive impacts to making this change?
Actually, it's marked as a bug that uh, it's simply incorrectly parsed some data that's input. So we,
Okay, so it's working incorrectly now, according to some people.
yeah, according to people who use comma as a
Yeah.
separator,
I think
some
someone marked
specific
it.
Like,
separator, yeah, for
Brandon, you had it a
yeah.
minute
Arabic.
ago. It was someone saying it was that is in Arabic. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that seems
it,
pretty simple to me that we should probably just do that, yeah?
One question here probably, why can't we pass a current culture? Why the user can pass a current culture with a specific culture, for example, like Arabic country, and it should probably parse it correctly or not?
yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Is that if we design this converter where somebody can pass in a culture, then I think that solves everything, right?
It should.
Guess the question is how how would we do that? Maybe have like an optional parameter in the constructor.
You mean how to pass current culture? Uh, I I didn't get.
Or how to pass in any culture. So if you knew up
I think
the
it's already a parameter in converter that allows to pass a culture. So we have a value, type, some other parameter, and current culture, if I'm not mistaken. It's
So it
already
could be
passed to
that people are
converter.
just not passing their culture and they're reporting it as a bug. Is that possibly an issue? Have you tested that, or?
I think in our wrapper where we have base basic one-way converter and two-way converter, we override those methods.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
manually
we would.
yeah, probably in converters, some.
Yeah. So right
Yeah, we have
now
culture here.
we can pass it in, but we would need like math expression converter would have to have maybe a property or something like we're already doing with the default convert return value override. We could add a property here called, or what is it, culture? Yeah, culture info, where they could set it.
Why do we need additional parameter here, and how it's passed to this culture value? The culture to use in the converter. Oh, this is not implemented. According to summary.
Says it there in the comment.
So here
Do we just implement it then?
We probably just need to pass a culture here in mass expression, and it should work like this, as we expect, without using like invariant culture or specific culture. So it's simply just ignored here.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, we already have
Wayne's saying
culture.
in the chat.
Pass that into math expression. Yeah. The only thing is passing, like grabbing the current culture and passing that into say math expression fixes part of the problem. And then I guess,
yeah,
well, it
but it
would,
doesn't look
yeah,
like
it
it's
would
being
fix the
fixed at
bug.
all.
But then if we wanted somebody to be able to specify a culture, that's where that property would come in. If they wanted to specify.
If you look at that convert from function, we're taking in the culture and deciding it's null if we don't get one, but we're not actually passing it on to math expression at all.
If it's null, I think it's passed as a default current culture, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but if you look at the parameters there for math expression, you're passing in the parameter, the input value, but you're not passing in the culture at all.
I think because we overwrite it in base convert one way, so default converter from value converter, it has all 4 parameters.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably somewhere here
we
overwrite
dig down deep enough.
Find it,
yeah.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of base converters.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so this base converter. And then this is where we.
Yeah,
there
we have abstract methods, and yeah, here we have convert back.
So this is where culture is. And so, yeah, we do pass it in and pass it along. So it'll bubble up to us. But yeah, no, I like that idea of passing in the culture, the current culture to that math expression. And then, yeah, maybe there's a new feature request we open up or new proposal we open up that would add another property here if somebody wants to specify a culture. And you can see if anybody's asking for it, they could always comment on the feature proposal or thumbs up it.
Sorry, I still don't understand why should we add a new parameter here? Why can't we use existing culture that is passed in a method?
So my understanding is this culture info will always be current culture, but like in the PR that Stephen opened up, he wanted it to be invariant. So maybe in his app, he doesn't want commas to appear and always wants decimal places.
I think in that case, it doesn't make sense to pass a current culture here as a default value if it's always current culture. I think it should be somehow set, somehow can be set. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to pass it because it's always default culture everywhere, I would say, across the application as a default culture. I think it should be somehow settable. I don't know, in XAML, when we pass a converter there, like static resource converter parameters, there should be probably a way to pass a culture as well. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to have this parameter here.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. The same way we have this property for default convert return value, we would add another property here called something along like probably just culture. And so you'd be able to set whatever culture you want for the math expression converter.
Yeah, if you can find the way to pass the culture in default converter way, like default pass it to some to converter, we can use a new property here and just it will be probably easier for those who use converter just to pass it here. Actually, should it be like bindable property? I don't remember. Or it can be just a simple property and can be used in XAML or everywhere.
Probably just a simple property for now.
Mhm.
Like we're probably already going above and beyond. And I don't know how many developers would want to change the math expression converter culture from their view model, which that would require a bindable property.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. For this Vlad, do you want
Yep.
to just follow up with Steven, let him know you can link the video in your comment, and we'll move forward with closing this PR, but opening up a new one that basically does what we talked
Yep.
about.
Yeah. Just pass somewhere, find a way to pass a culture to the mass expression converter. It will be probably the best way, not just use invariant culture in all cases. It can be by default changed. Well, don't set default. Otherwise, it will be probably a breaking change if we change the behavior. So it's up to those who need it to use invariant culture, whatever culture they need.
I think that sounds great. Cool. Issue solved. Now we just got to do the work. All right. Last for community toolkit before just one more for Maui markup. Cliff, we were chatting about this one earlier. Bindable property source generators. And it's actually the same Stephen.
Yeah, it's. I was going through the discussions and just picking out ones that have reached our kind of level of 7 or 8 kind of thumbs up, likes, upvotes to then get discussed on the chat. And I see this one that had 12 when I looked at it earlier. So put it in for discussion. But I think you said it's already been implemented by. It's already been implemented. You were saying, and there was a implementation.
Yeah.
There's
So
a pull request already. So from Pedro that had implemented it, but I think you said in the chat that it's only been done internally.
yeah. So just to bring everybody up to speed, if you ever created a custom view in .NET MAUI, then you've probably also created a custom bindable property, and it just kind of sucks. Let's be honest. Like you have to create this public static read only bindable property field. You have to remember this bindable property.create and what to pass into all these things. And a lot of it's not type safe. A lot of it's just expecting things like object, and then you have to cast it. And so like all this overhead's required for a bindable property. And so what Stephen was suggesting is, hey, now that we have source generators and now that we can do partial properties in C#, wouldn't it be cool if you just put this bindable property attribute on top of your existing normal property, mark it partial, and then we'll generate it for you? And so the good news is Pedro did that for us. We've been playing around with this internally. This is not something that's public, but let's see. If I show you we'll get out of the PR and I'll show you just the implementation on Expander. So we've only implemented it on one of our tools, specifically that's Expander. There we go. But you can see there's not this slew of boilerplate code implementing bindable properties. We've just put this bindable property attribute on the existing properties, C# properties, marked them as partial, and then they all get converted for us in source generators. So yeah, the thought here, and the reason why this is just internal for the library, not necessarily something we're supporting yet, is the first step was going to be do this everywhere. So for every view that we create, replace the boilerplate bindable property code with just the attributes and see how it works, and kind of let that bake for a while, because there's all sorts of edge cases, like what if you want to specify the property change method name or something like that. We might not have everything already fleshed out, because there's a lot of edge cases for bindable properties. So yeah, the first thought was somebody on the team should go through and just add this bindable property attribute everywhere and rip out all the old code that we don't need anymore. And then if that works, it could be something we make public.
I like it.
I like it too.
I'm fed up typing bindable property, yada yada yada. Yeah, I mean it's IntelliSense and the likes helps you quite a bit now.
How many people have gone up and don't even really have ever used iNotify property changed?
Yeah.
I mean, they use our library, and if our library doesn't work, their code doesn't work until we fix it.
Yeah.
I know my hand is up in the air because I've never actually used iNotify property changed. How many people just use observable object because that's the easiest thing to use?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the trend and the recommended way to do it nowadays. But even like, here's one from James in the comments. How does it work with one-way or two-way bindings? I don't know, James. I don't know if Pedro's implemented that. So that's why we haven't released it yet. But yeah, if Cliff or our James, if you guys, either of you have the time to go through and just start putting it in, like
just
I can start working on that. Yeah.
Maybe start on a couple of controls, like we've done expand a view at the moment. Maybe like finish off the rest of the views and see if there's any kind of issues before we get too deep into it. So I'm always wary of kind of generated code like this, that you miss that kind of that thing you think it does, but it doesn't actually do it. Then we push out a library and it breaks everyone.
I was thinking keeping it really small and just working on, say, one other control after expander, like just pick one random control out of a view, create a PR, test it, and then, let it go through a couple of months of whatever, and then go on to the next control. Because that way, at least we have some, like, we've got something really small that we've changed, and it's not like this is a huge thing that, needs to be done today, right? So.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think doing the views one by one, don't start with something crazy like pop-up, start with something simple. But yeah, I think, if we all start kind of contributing some PRs that also implement bindable property, like that's where we'll find these edge cases, exactly like James mentioned, James in the comments, James Brooksbank mentioned about, like, what if it's just a one-way binding?
Or
and
I could go.
We'll have to implement it.
I could go crazy and just completely implement it in media element. See how that goes. Like, it's not like I have, I could just play with it, and if I can get it to work and there's no issues, that would be great, because I know that library very well. I could probably do it for MAUI too. It just, there's a lot of other code in MAUI that would probably catch edge cases. So, and I know with media element, we've got everything probably like property change notifications. We've got, like a lot of different things in there, and that would catch at least some of the edge cases. So when I test it, yeah.
Yeah, and I see Simon here's mentioning in the comments that it might conflict with the example source generator, but I can tell you, Simon, look, I mean, this is very anecdotal and this is very narrow scope, but we're already using it. So the expander you can see here is using our bindable property source generators. And in our sample app, we're using the XAML source generators for expanders. So it is already working. I can't promise that there's no edge cases there, but at least for now, we've still got the green light. So that's probably something else we'll have to keep in mind as we move forward too, as we chunk through some PRs and implementing this internally. So we'll find out, or maybe it's just the fact that we have different libraries. Like this is communitytoolkit.maui library that's generating these files, whereas the XAML source generator is on communitytoolkit.sample.
Yeah.
And if you try to use both source generators in the same library, maybe that's where things will conflict. But I don't know. Maybe we'll try it. We'll try it and see what happens.
See what happens.
I know there's been an issue with nested bindable properties with XAML. Like it's already popped up, and that's one of the things that they're working on right now in Microsoft. So maybe we could keep an eye on that and make sure that if we do end up with nested bindable properties in our project, that we at least keep track of how they fixed it, so that we don't break anything.
Yeah, good call. I mean, if nothing else, very selfishly, for us, we can remove probably a couple of thousand lines of code from the repo and replace them with the bindable property attributes. So I think still pushing forward with it, even if it's only internal, it's still going to be great for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we'll see how everything kind of rolls out. It's kind of a brave new world with all these source generators, but it's a good place to be. I'd rather do this, and I'd rather have my XAML source generated also, and use observable objects. I
agree. This seems like the next magic step for the library. Like it's a great idea. I just wanted to make sure that everybody's completely aware of the sort of issues that we're run into, right?
Yeah, appreciate it. It's a good point. Okay, well, we are at the top of the hour, so I'll make this quick. Oh, did somebody jump in?
I just want to summarize it. Someone says that AI will replace developers. Now we see that source generators may replace
source generators replace AI.
It's the real threat to developers is source generators. Yeah. So okay, cool. All checks are passed. I was playing around with. So this is MAUI markup, also adding .NET 10 support. And again, just wanted to show this off, let you know that we've got this queued up. This one's actually 100% ready. So as soon as everything GAs, hopefully on Tuesday, we'll get this merged. We'll get a release pushed out. And something I added just this morning, kind of like we talked about earlier we pushed out a new feature of the .NET MAUI community toolkit that doesn't have the upper bounds. It's going to take me forever to scroll. Let's go NuGet, MAUI markup. So for the same reason, we had an upper bounds on the NuGet package. So you can see here, Microsoft MAUI controls doesn't allow you to use .NET 10 for MAUI markup, but that's going away too in this release as well. So everything's ready. We're just waiting for the GA here. This one will be super easy. And that's basically it. Keep writing your UIs in C# instead of XAML, everybody. It's the best way to go, right?
No, we got XAML now that will do it for us.
All right. Well, that's it for the agenda. James, Vlad, Cliff, anything else before we part ways and GA.NET 10 next week?
Excited for next week and seeing how many projects blow up and how many are successful. Because like how many people just like update their apps? Because I know I'm going to be updating my apps. And when I update my apps, I bet you I'm going to see a sea of red, and 5 minutes later, we're all going to be fixed.
Yeah. But the switch from 8 to 9 for me, for the apps that I look after, was pretty painless. It was not very long. I'm hoping much the same between 9 and 10, but we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we already started migrating from 9 to 10 to 172 files changed in pull requests, so it's a super easy migration.
Well, I can say the community toolkit app, our migration's been a lot easier this time than it has been last time, huh?
Yeah, I think
.NET 9.
the biggest change was what we talked about, the XAML source generators, and that's still off by default. So unless you go in your CS Proj and add in, or say MAUI source gen, then flipping the bit from .NET 9 to .NET 10 should be super painless. But still, highly recommend everybody enable source generation because your app's going to run faster. You can put breakpoints in your XAML, the code behind or the source generated XAML now. So it'll be good for everybody, but it also might be a little painful. That's okay.
I also noticed that they added a bunch of things to the samples for like Visual Studio that involve both our project and also other projects like open source projects where they basically create pages and pages and pages and pages of samples for people to use.
Nice. All using .NET 10?
Yes, all using .NET 10. So basically everything that like half of our, like they replicated, they haven't actually replicated, they created their own version of a bunch of sample pages using a lot of the functionality that we offer, including like mostly not things like media element or things like that, but things like the math converters, the bindable like everything that we have that we use in Maui. The main part has been added, and they provide samples for.
That's awesome. I was, George, I'm trying to find you the link. I was actually just looking at those new .NET 10 samples, but I think this is it. James, is that I'm dropping the link in our YouTube chat right now.
Let me check. It's literally like it's when you create a new project, it lets you like add boilerplate like samples. Like if you load up like in your .NET 10.
I think these are the Maui samples
I'm
using
just looking
.NET 10
here.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, these aren't necessarily specifically what I'm talking about. Like when you open up a new project and you choose .NET 10 in Visual Studio.
Yeah, the
You
templates.
have the option. Well, just you look at the .NET 10 Maui templates, and you just check new Maui, and you go through there. There's an option to click on add like samples within the
Okay.
new project UI,
Oh,
and
cool.
that will add like a ton of samples for like basically everything. So it's like if you're a new developer, this will let you see basically it'll create a huge like number of pages, like an incomplete sample app it'll create for you by default.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be great.
I think it's also available with .NET 9, if I'm not mistaken, as well. They use Sync Fusion library for beautiful UI diagrams and
Yeah.
other
Well,
controls.
it's they added that they're using examples from that library. Plus, they're using examples from our library, and I think there's maybe a few other libraries are using too. But they added like like it's just I blew my mind. I'm looking at it, I'm like that looks a lot like Brandon's code. That looks a lot like Vlad's code. That looks a lot like Cliff's code.
Cool. We're famous. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and thank you, James, Vlad, and Cliff for being here today. And like I said, stay tuned because hopefully Tuesday will be a whole new .NET 10 release. Fingers crossed, everything goes well. We've got everything queued up. Should be fine, but famous last words, right? So hopefully
I
we're
think
not here next month talking about the delays in .NET 10.
I think the biggest problem on Tuesday is going to be time zones and everyone getting the right time right. That's going to be the biggest thing, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I guess
and then we can all
it'll be
go and
first.
get our. We can all then go and struggle to get our GitHub actions to build our new .NET 10 apps and the likes. So that's going to be hard as well.
Yep. You got to update Xcode to Xcode 26 as
26.
well.
Yeah.
Android, Java, that number bumped from
21.
it's 21 now. Yeah, so all sorts of little fun things. But yeah, again, we're already doing it, guys. So anybody out there who's using GitHub Actions for your .NET MAUI apps, come check out our GitHub Actions, because we've probably already solved a lot of those problems that you're going to run into as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. And with that, we'll see everybody next month for the December stand-up. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you again soon.
Christmas hats next